Good morning, sunshines. Today is Monday, the 6th of April, 2020, and this is episode 12 or 13. It is spring break in the time of Our Lady Rona, and so that doesn't mean much different than the past month, except that I don't have to enforce schoolwork getting done, so yay that!
Yes!
I'm so excited to not have to fight with them for a week about just doing the work. Very exciting. So as you can see, we have a little guest host here, and she would like to show you some finished objects that she has.
Yep. Okay, so here's number one. So this is a paper doll that I made with with a with a teal vest, as a magenta shirt and purple shorts with teal sandals, and I named her Arabella.
Very cool, and Arabella is a double-sided doll, as paper dolls tend to be for Mara. Uh-oh.
Oops. Okay. Okay, so this is Arabella's mom. She's wearing a pink tank top, green pants, and pink shoes.
Very fancy.
And here it is. So this is Trisha's sister. She was inspired by one of my LOL dolls, and her name is Yasmin.
Very nice.
And here we have one of my Barbie dolls. Her name is Skipper, and I named her Trisha. I made her a dress and a headband out of a sock.
Very, very nice. Did you use one of my hairbands as a belt?
Yep.
Very cool. And you painted on her shirt and her leggings?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's another shirt. And all of them will go into a show, and it will be called Magic High with some other dolls, so stay tuned.
I am fairly certain that there is no administrative stuff other than, as pretty much everybody who has kids who podcasts knows, there are children, so there's going to be children sounds and dog sounds. It is what it is. So, on to finished objects. I have a couple things. I finished the Under Armour socks, and they are patterned by me. They have two different texture patterns on the socks. So this is the second sock. This is where I was last week. So you can see there's a slip stitch detail and then a ribbed detail, and they work on the bias. They are a lot of fun, and I love this yarn colorway. It is from Humble Bumble Fibers Company. It is the colorway Be Gay, Do Crimes. I am obsessed with it. And I will definitely be buying the same. They have another color that's very similar. It is these little rainbow flashes, but with a navy base. I want that. And then apparently there is a gray, I haven't seen this, but a gray base with, instead of these little runs of color, it's just like rainbow speckles. Love this yarn, love this base. It was really nice to work with. Painted up super nicely. So they need to be blocked and set aside for Christmas gifts. These are for Patrick's mom, and they were in my Stitch by Jess Lou, what is this? Starry Night bag. And the other side is just this star fabric. Sometimes I have the star fabric out, change it up. It's completely reversible, but it has stuff in it, so I'm not going to show you that it's completely reversible. I also finished this charity hat, which I'm going to put on over my super high bun, so, you know, It's a really cute look, right? This is cute. But I finished the charity hat that I was doing with helical knitting, and I continued the helical knit into the decreases, which I haven't done before. You can see that I did the turn a square decreases in there, so it's a squared off top. I made it big-ish. It fits me pretty decent with a little bit of slouch, but I made it for the Hat Not Hate campaign, and they want teenage to adult size hats, so I made mine a little big to accommodate all hairstyles and hair types. And these yarns were all acrylics from my stash. I used 3 different yarns. I talked more in depth about them last week. I did helical knitting on this, like the actual standard helical knitting instead of the way that I normally do helical knitting. So it was fine. It was a good experience. Now I know that technique. I understood it in theory, but hadn't actually made anything with it, so it was easy as I expected. On to works in progress, things that you have seen before. So here was the first star sock that was finished last week. So pretty. This is made using a modified version of the chart that's in the Keep Calm and Shine Bright knit along pattern, which, do I have that in here? No, I have it over here. I have that yarn cozy on this ball of yarn right here. So I started the second sock, and I am about just over halfway down the leg. So for this one, I did not have enough of this green mini skein to do the secondary color, so I picked this other mini skein, which is a self-striping mini skein of Jenna's. It's striped in this super bright pink, and now it's in this white speckly section, and at some point it will go back to hot pink. I didn't plan where the stripes would land. It just so happened to work up on the cuff and then go into the white for the leg. I'm kind of hoping that it pops back over to the pink for the heel. I think that would be a really cool, fun look, but I'm not going to manage the yarn. The yarn is going to do what it wants to do. The main colors, or the other colors, I guess, is the Colorwork contrast color is Leading Men Fiber Arts in Orchard Slope on their Showstopper base. And then this fun stripe yarn is on the 716 Targhee base. It is Slayer Pride Parade version 2.0. So, love this color. Love everything about this project. Including the bag it's in, which is my Hooked by Happenstance mermaid bag. I also have made some progress on my crusting inspired leg warmers. If you can hear that clicking, the metallic clicking, Mara's using chopsticks to eat her ramen. That's what that is, in case it's bothering you. So here is the first one, which was completed last week. And look at that texture. So I have been working on the second one just a little bit here and there, not too much focus on it, but I'm making pretty good progress. I think they have 5 repeats on them. No, 6 repeats maybe. So I'm about halfway there. Almost halfway there. The yarn that I'm using for this is Knit Picks Stroll Glimmer in the Sapphire Heather color. Oh, there we go. And, you know, I would just like the second one finished sometime in April. No rush for either of those projects, really. I do have a couple new projects that I'm really excited about. So let's show you those. I am doing a 2 at a time tutorial series. So here are here are my socks 2 at a time. I just have little tiny toes. So it's not going to be a big series. I'm going to have cast-ons for toe up and cuff down. Those are going to be in the same video with a timestamp for when the second technique happens. And then I'm going to do a couple different types of heels 2 at a time. So I'll be coming with that. I mentioned on some video maybe doing 9-inch circular tutorials. I have not started those, but I plan to start them shortly. I have a needle clear and ready. I have the yarn picked out for it. I just have to do it. I haven't gotten there. For that, I'm going to do toe up and cuff down and also do a couple of different heels for those socks, those tutorials also. So those will be coming down the line at some point. The silver lining to being at home all the time is that I have time to plan and record videos. So yay that. The yarn that I'm using for this tutorial sock is Queen City yarns in Pucker, maybe? I don't remember. But I'm using Queen City yarns, and I will be striping that with the leftover Orchard Slope so that I have enough yarn to make a pair of socks in a size that will fit very well for me. 50 grams sometimes is not quite enough to make a pair of socks for myself, a pair of shorties. Sometimes it is, but sometimes not. And also I just really want to stripe those two yarns together, else I think they'll look really cool, and I'm not going to show you a preview of that. You can see that next time. So the yarn that I was showing you in my yarn hug is Plymouth Yarn Encore Color Spun in the color 7808. I have 6 skeins of these that I am hoping to turn into a sweater. The Water and Stone by Vera Valimaki. I am super excited. I have had this pattern in my queue for a very long time, and it was generously gifted to me. It was on my wish list, so it's time. It's time to make this sweater. And I love that my kids love playing with each other, but not when they're too loud. For in generally speaking, when they start getting loud playing, I'm like, I'm glad you love each other, but stop. So I'm gonna go stop that real quick. Okay, so the Water and Stone. I did swatch for this because I am using a worsted weight and the pattern is written for a sport. So I did some math, which I talk about in a vlog. If I think about it, I will link that here so you can see my sweater math. So yeah, I did sweater math and hopefully it'll fit. I went with the option of it being just a skosh oversized because I would rather have a sweater that's a little oversized than a little undersized, but I think it should be fine. I have a 42 bust and I am making, which I think is the large in the pattern, and I am making the size small to accommodate the difference between gauge, even though I'm using the recommended needle size. Isn't that fun? In other news, I broke a needle today. These are Knit Picks needles. I think they're Knit Picks needles. Yeah, and I totally set this on my bed and then got up and then crawled back into bed and snapped the needle. Luckily, I didn't hurt myself, but you know, that's great. I hate when I do that, which is why I don't generally buy wooden needles. But that's what I had, so that's what I was using. I don't think the pattern calls for a provisional cast on, but this is the collar. What I'm knitting is like the back shoulder section, collar section. I think it's just across the shoulder, not the collar. I'm pretty sure you knit an additional thing across the collar. So it has has you knit half of the sweater with this, half the shoulder area with this detail, and then the other half stockinette, but from this direction. So it doesn't have you provisionally cast on, it has you pick up stitches. I would much rather just provisionally cast on and have those stitches ready for me. I find that when I have to pick up stitches from a cast on edge, it just looks messy. Now, I don't want this sweater to look messy. It's heavily, well, not heavily cabled. It just has cable panels and it's very pretty and it's going to be a lot of work. So I just want it to look fantastic. So can you see the cable in here? Kind of. Yeah, you can see that cable detail. So it's super easy. The cable's already memorized. I have 3 repeats. I need it to be between 6 and 8 inches. I don't remember exactly what I'm measuring to. I'm kind of just going to measure it against my shoulder and see where it's supposed to be in the schematic and kind of just wing the sweater. Whatever, it's fine. I'll make it up as I go, even though someone already wrote it. Why would you do all that work? Why not? Because this is the yarn I have and that's the pattern I want to make. So I'm just going to make things difficult on myself, apparently. I do have plans for a couple new cast-ons in the near to mid future. That pair of 9-inch circular tutorial socks. Well, it'll be one sock at a time. And then I will also be doing a baby sweater out of that leftover Knit Picks Glimmer in the Blush, that pink color. I'll be making a baby sweater out of that. I also did some spinning, but very little, so I'm not going to talk about that. I did really quick before I show you my modular projects. I did use up the entire skein of this. This is no longer in my stash at all. I'm really trying to do that since I didn't do it in January, but the last couple months I've been really trying to knock out yarn instead of letting it go back into my stash as minis. So I'm proud of that. Okay, so reading. I'm still listening to Linger. There are 55 chapters and I am on chapter 36. So I listen to this when I'm cleaning mostly or knitting. It's not high priority on my listening, but it'll get there. And then I finished a couple books this past week. Journal Me Organized, which is, it's got a lot of, I talked about it in detail last week, I think. It's got a lot of information about how to set up a planner if you're starting with a blank notebook, which was kind of interesting. There were a couple ideas that I liked, but I've been doing planners for a long time, so it wasn't super useful. It was just kind of a fun read. And I finished Voices by whoever wrote it. I know I talked about it last week. I did have it on my desk until Mara came by, so I'm not sure where it is right now. But I did finish that. It was an interesting telling of the last hours of Joan of Arc. It was all written in verse versus prose, no prose at all, except for the actual statements from Joan of Arc's trials, both of them, the trial of condemnation and the trial of, I don't remember, it was a posthumous trial to clear her name. And I think it took place like between 20 and 30 years after she was burned at the stake. So the other thing that I have been reading fairly actively is The Care and Feeding of Ravenously Hungry Girls, which, okay, so the style is enjoyable. The subject matter is less than enjoyable. I'm enjoying reading the book, but I don't want to say that without saying that, like, what's going on in the book is kind of awful. It starts with the main character in jail, and how that affects her whole family, all of the women specifically in her family. But there's also parts that are written in letter form. I don't remember what that's called. From her husband to her. He is also in jail. They're waiting, being transferred to prison for a crime they committed together. They have 2 twin daughters who are staying with one of her sisters, and we meet her other sisters also, and she has a brother. So it's a good, her other sister. She has 2 sisters. It's a good story so far. I'm 125-ish pages in. There are about 290. So not super, super far, about just over a third, but I'm enjoying it so far. I haven't been reading a ton or knitting a ton, apparently. This weekend was super lovely. We watched, I don't remember what happened on Saturday. I feel like it was the same thing as Sunday. I watched 3 Disney movies with my kids yesterday, like a grown up. I picked all of them. I love Disney movies. And then there is a show on the History Channel called Top Shot, and I don't personally ever feel the need to own a gun, but my boyfriend is super into guns, and we've been watching it. So I don't love guns, but I do love competition shows so much. So we've been watching Top Shot. We watched all of, I only saw half of season 2, and then we're watching season 3 right now. It's very enjoyable. If he could just watch competition shows all the time, I would watch TV with him. I used to watch so much reality TV when I was young, back in the days when MTV was, played music. I think when I was in late elementary or middle school, my parents put a TV in the playroom for us kids. We had a playroom for a summer, I think. That was not a thing that lasted forever. And it would be MTV from like the time we woke up until the time we went to bed. So there would be music videos in the morning just playing, and then there was like the dance party show, and then reality TV for like 4 hours. Loved it. Loved it. Real World and Road Rules. I was obsessed with them when I was like 10. They were my favorite. Just fun trivia for you. So I love competition shows. Love them. Anyway, my kids are getting loud. I don't really have anything else to say. I hope that whatever you're doing, crafting, reading, sitting on your couch watching reality TV, you are enjoying parts of your time, because we all need to be finding some joy right now. I will see you in about a week. Bye!